Today I wanted to talk to you about 3 design changes that I made for Google Form for attendance. I've made these changes because I was having difficulties. Others I saw were having difficulties in some parts of it. So I've made some improvements. One of the first things that I did was I started to create a new Google Form each week. If you're an elementary school teacher, it may not be that important to do it every week, but for me, I teach high school. I have 180 students every single day, logging in, checking in. It just got to be too much. I was trying to do it for the quarter. That wasn't working, so I backed it off. And it's really easy to make a copy, so let me show you how to do that. So go into your Google Form, whichever one it is. This is my one for Digital Hall Pass. If you go up here to the right side, you'll see these 3 dots. Click on that, and the first option is Make a Copy. You click on that. You can give it a new name. I would give it the dates for the week that it's going to be used, and then just click OK, and it will create another copy for you. And you can use the same exact questions. Nothing has to change. By creating this extra copy, it just eliminated so much data that I had to scroll through and look at, and it was just overwhelming. So that's one of the first changes that I made. I do it weekly. If you're in elementary, you may want to do it once a month. Change it, a new one for every month. So how do you manage keeping track of that big old spreadsheet for the new forms each week? How do you do it? If you have suggestions for me, I'd love to hear them. The next thing that I did to help me manage this data that I would get on the spreadsheet is I began to color code each day. And it's really easy. You just go in and highlight the day and then change the color for those rows. Pretty easy. I do it every day, every other day. You could even color code every other day because at least you'll have the alternating sections so that you'll easily see the days in that spreadsheet. So if you see on this form, I have the 26th, I've color coded it green. On the 27th, I just left the 27th white, just a basic color. I didn't have to change anything. The next day I went in there and changed the next rows. I would change them all to blue. So then that'll help eliminate some of that work for you with the color coding, and it does make it so much easier to see how many days you've got posted. The next thing that I made an adjustment to is the social emotional question at the end to see how they're doing, checking in on them. I wanted to add another section so that when the students were not feeling well or they said, man, I can give them the opportunity and give them directions on how to get more help if that's what they needed. So let me show you how I did that. So here I am in my Google Form for attendance, and I go down to my last question. That's the how are you feeling today? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add another section. Of course, this question is going to be required. Make sure I get some feedback. You go right here to the equal sign. It will add another section for you. So in this section, I want to give the students options. If they want to explain more to me, they can do that. So I'm going to ask them if they'd like to share more about how they are feeling. And I'm going to give them an option of yes and no. Just click on no and it automatically populates. If they say no, I'm not going to push it any further. So if they say they want to talk to me more about it or they want to share more, I'm going to go ahead and ask them to email me so that we can schedule a time so we can talk further. Or if they prefer, they can just explain it below. I'm also going to include a QR code for them to go to our wellness center. So if you come right here where you see the picture, click on that, and then you can upload your own images, QR codes, whatever it is that you need to do there, and it will show up just like this. So they'll have their QR code, they just take out their phone, they can actually scan it for us, and once they've scanned for the Wellness Center, they can go ahead and check out and go to the Wellness Center. So now that I've got all my sections created, there's one more step that we need to do to direct Google Form based on the answer. So I'm going to go back up here to the first question that we started splitting off, or we want to split off. And I'm going to go here, the 3 dots, click on the 3 dots, and it says go to section. Now it's going to give me the option to go to different sections. So if they said, meh, I want them to go to section 2. Section 2 is where I'm going to be asking them, do they want to tell me more? Again, in this section, I'm going to go to the 3 dots, go to section based on answer. If they choose no, we want that section to say submit form because that's the end of my question. If they say yes, I want them to go to section 3. And that's where we put our QR code and our email address and all those things. So that's how you get the Google form to go to different spots based on students' answers. Do you have any additional advice for me? How can I handle these questions? What I was noticing when I didn't give that extra section, sometimes I missed their responses and I didn't catch it, or I'm looking through the spreadsheet. And then I felt really bad like 3, 4, 5 days later, like, oh my goodness, I didn't really follow up with that student to check on them. So this way it gives me an option, or actually gives the student an option so that they can take the next step so that we can discuss that.